Okay, recording in progress. So welcome back. This is our fifth session and, well, final session, at least for this year, for our Lunch and Learn series. Our subject for this year has, of course, been Jewish music, a survey of Jewish music. We've covered a number of topics up until this point. Today is going to be a lot of fun. It's a kind of a brief history of Israeli pop music, and we'll encounter a lot of these sort of the different varieties within Israeli pop music. I'm going to be playing you lots of great recordings. I'm going to try to talk as little as possible. I know that's hard for a rabbi, so I'll do the best I can. Just to say initially, I love this music, and it was just so hard to make good choices about what to play. I mean, I'm playing you all the things that many wonderful tunes. There are many more that I just don't have time to play. You'll see what it's on screen. I've got a Spotify list that's way too long. That's like hours long that I couldn't, obviously just can't cover. And obviously I won't, there are some songs I might want to play all the way through, but some of them will probably be just to give you a taste, because there's just so much good music. I think it's very interesting about Israeli music in particular, that because it is a nation that is composed primarily of immigrants, people who came from all sorts of different countries to Israel with their own musical traditions, in both Jewish and non-Jewish musical traditions of those countries, what happens in Israel is sort of unique in the world in terms of pop music, because there's this range and richness of material influencing Israeli pop music. Also within that, of course, the whole idea of Zionism and how that plays out in the music is also quite interesting. And then, of course, Israel's development from, a small hardscrabble group of chalutzim, of pioneers, to, an economic power, and a strong, vibrant country that has people, that are listening to music from all over the world, also influences the music as well. And you'll see this movement from sort of the early Zionist stuff to pop music, which is in some ways, except for the fact that it's in Hebrew, is indistinguishable from pop music from around the world, which is of course very, very, I mean, that's happened everywhere, but in Israel, of course, it's that much more important because, the Jews are just like everybody else, only more so. So you'll see this development in Israeli society and culture, and the development of within the music that we hear. There are, of course, probably a lot of Israeli pop songs that we all know. I'm going to try to avoid playing those songs unless it's absolutely necessary. The point being, I also want to kind of try to expand your own horizons in terms of what you know of as Israeli music as well. So as usual, if you have questions, just you might have to unmute yourself and ask them. And if can you unmute? Can somebody just check to see if you can actually unmute? Just to make sure, because I don't know if I have if I'm in charge of that setting. Yes, you can. Yes. Good. All right. So if you have questions, just unmute or put them in the chat, but it's harder sometimes for me to see them in the chat. So we're going to go all the way back to the 20s, the 1920s, that is, I'm going to play you something that is from, and it's worth pointing out that there's a great collection. Well, this song isn't on it, but if you're interested in the history of Israeli music, there is a wonderful collection that I've seen for sale in America and certainly available in Israel. This is at the 50th anniversary of Israel, which is already 1998, which is already a long time ago. The Head Artsy, which is the Israeli. The largest Israeli music publishing company or a record company, they put together this collection of Israel's 240 greatest songs for its first 50 years. It goes from 1948 to 1998, and is a wonderful collection. It's called Gadalnu Yachad. Most of it is available on Spotify if you have Spotify, and so actually I'll be playing a number of the songs from that. But just so you know, if you're interested in this, you can hear so much more, and there's so much wonderful stuff. Okay, so as I said, we're going to go back all the way to 1925, and I think the way to do this to make sure that I share sound is like that. And we're going to go to wait, make sure I've got the right page here. We're going back to a song from 1925 originally, although it's something that, oh, nope, that's not the right page. Wait, sorry. Let me try this again. Hold on. I want to minimize that. I want to put this up. And there's, okay. So this is actually from a collection by the Jewish Music Research Center in Jerusalem that catalogs, collects recordings. We've actually heard some of them on previous in previous sessions. But this is a song of not recorded in 1925, but many decades later by a bunch of basically old chalutzim, old pioneers who are singing this song. It's called Mayafim Halelot Bichnaan, and it's them singing about sort of the scene when they arrived in Israel. And why does it say my screen sharing is paused? What does that mean? Right, let me try and do this again, get it right. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. Share screen, because you got to be able to hear it. Share sound, and we want this one. Okay, there, let's try that. Okay, so here we go. Singing about how beautiful are the nights of Canaan, and you hear the sound of the jackals that are cutting through the sound at night. Okay. Much pianist.
كتنم محبليم كرميم بؤا هدود ياكار لخرامنو سمدار يلا تنم نوغا تحزن بها الله يلا تنم نوغا تحزن بها الله.
So in the 20s and 30s, and to some extent continuing through till today, one of the primary modes of Israelis getting in touch with their music, and again, I know this is pre-Israel, this is Mandate Palestine period, but nonetheless, the history of the Jews in this region is that they have this custom called Shira B'tzibur, singing in public, and very much a part of Israeli society to this day. And in this period, you had lots of sort of like traveling singers who would go from place to place to kibbutzim and so forth, and they would sing with people. And so the way that people got to know these popular songs was by hearing what other people were singing and what these traveling singers would bring to different kibbutzim. I'm going to play you a song that is originally from 1937 called Shira Emek. Some of you may know this is really one of my favorite songs ever. That is again a vision of the Emek Yisrael, the Jezreel Valley, and the challenges faced by the early pioneers there. And I'll play a little of this. This is actually a recording, I think, from the 1950s by the group Haparvarim, but nonetheless, it gives you a feel for the song.
חיוור מסתרע
Okay, so like I said, I can't play all these things through. It's such a gorgeous song. Again, paints this scene of the agricultural fields in the north of Israel, and they're proud of their work and they're toiling hard, and yet there are marauders at night and they have to protect their land and so forth. That's Shir HaEmek. We're going to move forward a little bit to okay. Obviously, we're moving quickly through these decades because there's a lot of development in Israel and what's going on into the 1940s. Of course, they are moving towards independence, and there's, again, can't get into the whole political story here. War of Independence begins in 1948 with Israel's establishment of the State of Israel, and then continues through for a year and almost 2 years, and during this time, what comes to the fore is songs not just about the beauty of the land and our pride in being here, but also that we're fighting for this land, and very important to the idea of to the Zionist ideal is that now we've established the state. And we're proud of what we have. So a lot of the songs from this period, from the late 40s, early 50s, reflect on this pride in having emerged victorious, which seemed probably unlikely from the outset, and maybe even more so after the fact. So this is a song from, I believe, 1948. It might be 1950 actually. Hayu Zmanim, which this is not the original recording. It was originally recorded, I believe, by the Chizbatron, but this is Shoshana Damari, one of my favorite singers. Shoshana Damari has this gorgeous voice. She's born in Yemen in 1923. Her family moves to Israel when she's just a baby, but she becomes one of the most famous singers in Israel. So here's Shoshana Damari, Hayu Zmanim. I believe the recording is from probably the 1960s. Orchestral arrangement, Nancy. When she starts singing, it'll be those fantastic times when we were.
וגם הגב יהיה כפוף כחטוטרת, ותזכר אז בימיך בפלמ"ח, ותספר אזי אגב עישון מקטרת, ומסביב ישב הטף, ואשתך גם היא מופלגת בשנים, תזיל דמעה ותקנח את האף, ותענח היו זמנים, היו זמנים, היו זמנים.
Oh, those were such times.
היו זמנים, לחמנו